1912, Democratic President Woodrow Wilson's administration began a racial segregation policy for U.S. government employees, and by 1914, the Wilson administration Civil Service instituted the requirement a photograph be submitted with each employment application.
Read Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, because it is a program of manipulation, enslavement, and genocide, and it's without mercy. Right now I'm going to just read a quote from Edward Mendell House and what he had to say in a private meeting with Woodrow Wilson, president between 1913 and 1921, from the private papers of Woodrow Wilson. Quote, "Very soon, every American will be required to register their biological property in a national system designed to keep track of the people, and that will operate under the ancient system of pledging. By such methodology, we can compel people to submit to our agenda, which will affect our security as chargeback for our fiat paper currency. Every American will be forced to register or suffer not being able to work and earn a living. They will be our chattel, and we will hold the security interest over them forever by operation of law merchant under the scheme of secured transactions. Americans, by unknowingly or unwittingly delivered the bills of lading to us, will be rendered bankrupt and insolvent, forever to remain economic slaves through taxation secured by their pledges. They will be stripped of their rights and given commercial value, designated to keep us a profit that will be none the wiser. For not one man in a million could ever figure out our plans, and if by accident one or two would figure it out, we have in our arsenal plausible deniability. After all, this is the only logical way to fund government, by floating liens and debt to the registrants in the form of benefits and pledges. This will inevitably reap us huge profits beyond our wildest of expectations, and leave every American a contributor to this fraud, which we will call social insurance. Without realizing it, every American will insure us for any loss we may incur, and in this manner, every American will unknowingly be our servant, however begrudgingly. The people will become helpless, without any hope for their redemption, and we will employ the high office of the President as our dummy corporation to foment this plot against America. Having established plausible deniability, even if people become enlightened that they had a remedy and pursued it, the attorneys, judges, and legislators could claim that they did not understand the people's claims, especially if the technical requirements for achieving it were not followed pursuant to statutory requirements. Requiring the public schools to teach civics, government, and history classes out of federally approved, politically correct textbooks written by the publishing houses, owned by the owners of the Federal Reserve, would assure that the people would not discover the remedy for a long time, if ever. I would recommend that everyone read Fruit from a Poisonous Tree.
4 days shredding the leftist straw man. The left creates the straw man that we're a systemically racist nation where cops are running around intentionally trying to find black men to shoot, and climate change is going to kill us all in 10 years, so we need to socialize every part of our economy.
There's a no turn law.
Or there's a park here, you can register, and we can do what the register. As far as I know, he's not back at nobody. You don't have a driver's license. You have to have that in the state of Nevada. To operate a motor vehicle.
You are an officer, you did take an oath, right?
I just sworn or something. Is that why you don't want to use this?
No, I gave you my name.
You mind if I use it to find out who you are?
I live by
Watch
the
that.
common law.
Anywhere in the United States, if you've been arrested, and I run you, and say it's 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, it would say that you've been arrested for this, and it would pop up as a person.
I don't blame you. I
When
don't
it
blame
comes back that you're a person and you have a record,
There are people.
You really can't hide behind legal fictions this time.
I'm not driving, I'm traveling. There's a difference.
okay.
I'm not committing commerce
You're
on
on
the
the
highway.
road and you're driving. Listen, you have a name.
Yeah, but I don't wish to give it.
Here's the deal. You want this to go easy? You get a traffic citation, and then you be on your way.
I didn't commit any traffic violations.
You're gonna go ahead and provide that information for me so we can get out of here. If you don't provide the information we need,
Yeah.
there's a likelihood you go to jail.
I am not driving, I am traveling. There is a difference.
What's the difference?
Driving is a privilege, traveling is a right. That's the difference, dummy. By the way, you're hearing Dark Angel in the background. Just elaborating on that question that he asked. Sorry for the poor quality of this video, but I am recording it off of YouTube from a group
I'm traveling officer.
or a page called Imformative Products. They've actually posted a very good video that caught my interest, and so therefore I'm recording it and going to post it to my page.
I'm not driving, I'm traveling.
But like I said, I apologize again for the poor quality. I hope you guys will be able to see it and hear it.
Traveling officer.
Hey man, here's the proof. More proof, I should say. Not here's the proof. Here's more proof to what I've already been speaking on. So now you guys get to see it from another source, from other sources.
Traveling. That's for, I've researched all this for over a year, and driving is considered in the Black's Law Dictionary driving for commerce.
Define driving for commerce.
What you're doing right now is you're driving for commerce.
You're not going to give me a driver's license or anything like that?
No, officer, I'm not.
You're talking to me, okay?
Huh? Officer.
You're not going to remove that? Let me see that VIN number.
No.
Do you have an ID on you? Do you have a driver's license?
I do, but I'm not driving for commerce, so I don't have it on me.
You don't have to have a driver's license. Why don't you have it on you?
Because I'm not driving for commerce, I'm traveling. I'm not acting in a commercial capacity. No, officer. I'm not driving, officer, I'm traveling. I'm not driving in commercial capacity, officer, so I don't have to show you my driver's license. I have a right to travel. No, officer. I'm not driving in commercial. I'm not driving. I'm not making it difficult, officer. I'm just exercising my rights.
You want this back?
Yes, please. Is that it? Thank you.
Wait, what? Bruh.
That's how you do it.
Having established plausible deniability, even if people become enlightened that they had a remedy and pursued it, the attorneys, judges, and legislators could claim that they did not understand the people's claims.
A matter of state versus Markle, with additional arguments or suggestions as to why you believe the court did not have jurisdiction. I recall that one of them in particular was citing that the court in the state were a corporation. So I indicated that prior to the trial date that's now scheduled, I would give you an opportunity to be heard.
I don't know why I'm here. I want to know who brought the claim against me. Who are they? It says, quote, if any person, blah, blah, blah. If any person, blah. I'm not a person. And actually, that's what's entitled. Rights of an American citizen. I'm an American citizen. I'm not a United States corporate slave.
Can you explain to me what you see as the difference between those two?
One is corporate jurisdiction.
And the corporation is the state of
The corporation is the state of New Hampshire.
And
I have to be an elected member of the board of directors of that corporation. The corporation has Part 2 as its charter. So Part 2 of the New Hampshire Constitution is the charter of which I have to be on the board of directors of.
And do you agree that the board of directors has the authority to enact laws?
No, they don't enact laws, they enact public policy. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land.
Okay, when you say Constitution, are you talking about the federal Constitution or the New Hampshire Constitution? Go back to the question of the difference between an American citizen and a corporate citizen.
That's
So I understand that you're saying a corporate citizen is one who follows the board of directors' public policy. Is that, am I understanding that piece? Backwards, what would you define an American citizen as?
United States Conscription Act defines the two classes of citizens, and that's in 92 U.S. page 544. That's where you get the definition. That's sovereignty. A sovereign, unless the sovereign is named in the public policy, he is excluded.
And what do you mean by that? I don't understand
Go-
that the sovereign is the people.
Absolutely. No, sovereign is the individual.
Okay, so
Individual American.
each individual is a sovereign in of themselves.
Absolutely.
And so then you're saying that each sovereign does not have to abide by the public policy of the corporation of the state of New Hampshire?
Absolutely, because there's no instrument.
There's no instrument to guide the sovereigns. Aren't the statutes of New Hampshire the instrument that guide the sovereigns in the state?
The Uniform Commercial Code requires a contract,
Okay,
an instrument,
that's my second
and it
question.
has to be fully informed. There has to be a meeting of the minds for the contract to exist.
Okay, so can you just help me understand your argument with how the UCC controls someone's driving in New Hampshire?
Oh, no, I'm a traveler. The right to travel existed before governments were incorporated. There's a brief on the right to travel.
So are you saying that right to travel includes operating motor vehicles?
No, you use the word operating, no. Talking about two different things. An automobile, as the Supreme Court has confirmed, is not taxable. You don't have to pay any taxes to your town for an automobile. You do for a commercial motor vehicle.
I'm still hung up on something that you said earlier.
Okay?
About travel versus operating. If someone's driving a car, right? There's a motor vehicle that's on the street and it's being driven by someone. Are you saying that person who's driving is just traveling through it?
No, I'm not saying they're traveling.
You're saying that nobody's driving the car?
The motor vehicle only has, motor vehicle department, only has jurisdiction over the commercial traffic on a public way.
And so
They have no jurisdiction there. They have no jurisdiction over a private automobile.
And you're,
If you use a self-propelled conveyance on the public way for a profit or a gain, then you are subject to what the motor vehicle department, you have a license, and they have jurisdiction, but they have no jurisdiction over me. That is all personal. You do not need a license, because you're not in commercial use of the highway, and you don't have to have a registration. It's consumer goods. Consumer goods do not require any registration. Consumer goods do not require a license to control them. You're talking about commercial vehicles versus the pleasure vehicle.
it does not.
It's not a vehicle, it's an automobile. So they're playing word games, I believe, excuse my expression here. You're talking semantic subterfuge.
Well, I'm trying to learn what your argument is. I'm not making a ruling today one way or the other. That's why we're having this discussion, so that I can fully understand what your position is and give the state an opportunity to respond as well. So let me just see if I understand it. Government is a corporation. They have no, they make a public policy, but that is not enforceable to the individual sovereign.
You use the word license, and you know that a license is something that government gives you a privilege, right into a privilege. That's good. You cannot license a right and charge a fee for it. The right to travel existed before governments were created.
How is that related to whether this court has the authority to determine whether you throw actual licenses? When you say the word motor vehicle, are you talking about a horse and carriage, a moped? I mean, am I understanding you about that?
And as you can see by that court interaction, the courts was, it's not that they were unknowledgeable as to what was being said. They're playing dumb. You know, just like what you just heard in the video of Woodrow Wilson. You know, they made it very clear that, you know, this was how it was going to be. You know, we go in there and you argue your case, so the courts is going to act stupid. They're going to act like they don't know what you're talking about. They don't understand the people's argument. They understand it because it's all court fortified. It all came from the courts. It came from the mother court, the Supreme Court of the land. So they know what you're referring to. They just need, basically what it is acknowledgement and confirmation that you know what you're talking about. Because if you don't know what you're talking about, then of course they're going to rule against you at all times. So you want to make sure that when you go in there like that gentleman did there, and as you noticed as they were conversing, she kept using the terminology operate, drive, motor vehicle, etc., etc., and he kept coming behind her, correcting her. So this is what you need to do. You got to make sure that you stay the course and that you keep them on the course, because they're going to always try to refer back to their commercial ways, because as you know, as a citizen, you are contracted and under law. Okay? So by being contracted and under law with the corporate United States of America, the enslavement, then you should know that all the courts are operated under that of a commercial capacity. She wanted to ask, are you talking about the federal constitution, or are you talking about the supreme law of the land? He clearly stated in there, in his argument, the supreme law of the land constitution. But again, the court's ignorance, shines through, because they wanna try to detour you and give. She trying to converse with him so that she'll know how to give the state a means to properly argue back. No, what she's trying to do is detour you from pursuing your rights and standing on your rights, okay, by giving you such a hard time, that she's trying to make you believe, or get you to believe, that if you decide to pursue this, we're going to make it as difficult as possible. That's basically the whole game plan. But you heard the private paper reading of Woodrow Wilson, what he said. He made it very clear. He was letting you know that they was going to capitalize on the people, and that the people was the mistake. So, with that being said, like he said, for those few that do figure it out, they're going to have the lawyers, the judges, and all these people, swear up and down that they don't understand the argument. So yeah, that was just a little clip there. And again, I apologize for the poor quality of the recording. If it even recorded, I'm not even sure if it even recorded, because I don't even know. I haven't looked at it yet, but it shows that it's recording on my end. So I do apologize for the bad quality of it. But again, you can go to Imformitive Products, go to their YouTube page and check them out. They are posting up some legal, truthful stuff over there, and hey, they're doing like I do. They're telling it like it is. So I was kind of glancing at the video as it was going on, because all the information I already knew, and I already know it. So I'm 100 with whoever has information where our rights are concerned. So I'm already down with it, and I already know all the commercial terminology and all this. So I do want to keep you guys abreast of the one case that pretty much clarifies the position of the DMV. Okay, the DMV is commercial, no matter what license is issued out of their office. Now, also keep in mind, I said what license is issued out of their office. There's only one license issued from the DMV. Okay, the classifications does not qualify it as a different license. Okay, the classifications just gives that license authority to do something that another classification would not permit. Okay, that's all classification is. A, B, C, D. I've even had a guy say something to the effect of, yeah, well, my license says non-commercial on it. Well, I've heard of that, but unfortunately for you, if you got it issued from the DMV, it's commercial related anyway, because commerce associated with the DMV is commercially related. To do business, do trade. It also means to operate in traffic, transportation. All that's commercial. See, we all know that, you know, and Title 49 tells you it. You go in Title 49 and look up transportation, look up traffic, look up motor vehicle, all of it's in there. Every single bit of it. And this is the Federal Motor Code that all states must come in compliance with. So, you know, they can mess around and play around if they want to, but also too, keep in mind now, one thing you have to keep in mind, whenever you get pulled over in a traffic stop, start recording immediately. The reason why I tell you this is they have what they call an exclusionary rule. Okay, exclusionary rule. This exclusionary rule means that if a cop coerces you, intimidates you, threatens you, tells you that, well, if you fail to do this, we're gonna lock you up, we're gonna bust your window, we're gonna do this. See, as long as you're filming that and you got that on film and you publish that, okay, you can get that case thrown out of court immediately on the exclusionary rule. Okay, so I want y'all to remember that. So, you know, let's hold them accountable. You know, let's hope for the best, but always expect the worst. You know, because you always want to make sure that you're recording every time you're stopped. You know, these cops, they're not dumb fucks. You know, they know that you have a right to travel. They know this. They know the difference between the driving privilege and travel fundamental right. They know it. They know that commerce is the privilege, and they know that traveling is a right. That's a given. It's always been that way. It's always been that. It's never changed, and it never will change. So, you know, evoke, demand, protect. Okay? And also, where no policy or statute has ever been written, no law can be enforced, as well as no jurisdiction exists. Okay? So keep that in mind, people. This is Dark Angel. Deuces.